Hi guys, welcome to today's literacy lesson. Today we're going to be making our own little books all about what the ladybird heard. What we're going to need is one piece of colour paper. If you don't have colour paper, that's fine, you can have plain paper. A few pieces of plain paper. I've got 3 pieces, or you could take 3 pieces of lined paper from your books. I'm going to need my letter formation mat, and I'm going to need my sound mat. I'm going to need a pen or a pencil, maybe some colouring pencils, and I'm also going to need a ruler. So before we begin, off you go and find all of those things, and I'll see you back here in a minute. Bye. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take your few pieces of plain paper, and you're going to get your ruler and your pen, and we're going to draw some lines on the paper so that we know where we need to write on the line. Now, I don't have a ruler, I have a whiteboard, so excuse the fact that I'm not using a ruler, but hopefully at home you will have one. So I'm going to leave a bit of a gap in the middle of my page so that I can draw some pictures on the top half, and then on the bottom half I can draw some lines so that I can do some lovely writing. So I'm going to draw just a couple of thick lines so that I can fit all of my lovely letters and my writing on there. And I'm going to do that on each piece of paper so that every bit of paper has got some writing on it, like this. So I'm also going to turn my paper over and do exactly the same on the other side so that I've got double-sided lined paper, so that when I use my little book and I make it and I fold it over, I've got lines on both sides of my paper. Right, now that I have finished drawing the lines on both sides of my paper, I'm now going to start by taking my pieces of lined paper and my piece of coloured paper, or your piece of plain paper that you might have as your front cover and your back cover. I'm going to place them on top of each other, and then making sure that I have got the lined paper inside my book and the coloured paper on the outside, I'm going to very carefully fold it over like that, and then I'm going to straighten out my edges, and now I've got a book. If you want to use a stapler, you can staple at the top and at the bottom to keep it together, or you can leave it loose like I have. So then when you open your little book, you've got lots of different pages that are blank with a bit at the top for some drawing and then some lines underneath for writing, and you've got lots and lots of pages for that. So now that we've done that, let's get to the next stage of making our little book. Right, now that you've got your little book and you've started making it, you now need to get your sound mat ready so that you can use that to help you do your writing when you're ready to. What do we use the front cover for of our book? Do we use it to write the whole story on? No, we use it to say what the book is called and who it's by, and we might do a little picture on it. I'm going to start with writing the title of the book, What the Ladybird Heard. And now I've written the title of the book, I'm going to write at the bottom who it's by and who's written the story. So I'm going to write the story today, so I'm going to write that it is by Miss Colbeck. Okay, so now I've done that, I'm going to have a look at drawing the picture on the front of my story. I just want to draw a simple ladybird because we know that the story is about what the ladybird heard. So I'm going to just really quickly draw a very rough drawing of a ladybird. I'm going to try my best. And then later on I'll get some colouring pencils and I'll go back and colour in all of my pictures. So my front cover is done. It says What the Ladybird Heard by Miss Colbeck, and I've got a picture of the ladybird. I'm now going to go to the first page of my story, and I'm going to have a think back to what happens in the beginning of the story. Let's do the first bit together and see if we can remember what happens at the start of the story. So I know that at the start of the story, all of the animals are on the farm, and it introduces each of the animals, and then it says that the ladybird never says a word, and it goes through and says what each of the animals say. I'm going to start with my first sentence. I've got my pen and I'm ready to write, and I've got my sound mat and I'm ready to write. What's the one thing I've forgotten that I need to use when I'm writing? I've got my sound mat, I've got my paper, I've got my pen. I need something to use as a finger spacer. I'm going to use my pen as my finger spacer today because I don't have any lolly sticks or finger spacers at home. My first sentence is going to talk about the animals on the farm. So I'm going to write, there are lots of animals on the farm. And then later I'm going to come back and draw all of the animals I can see. So I'm going to start by writing, there are. Finger space, lots. Let's sound out lots together on our Fred finger because that is a really easy word to sound out. Are you ready? S, lots. My first sound was all, then o, then t, and last s. There are lots. I'm going to start on a new line. Of animals. What does animal begin with? Animal begins with a. Let me see if I can find a. There it is. I'm going to copy it down. On. Can you sound out on for me? Off you go. On. Finger space. The. Tricky word. The. How do we spell the? Sing your tricky word song. T-H-E spells the. So T-H-E. And now I need to write the word farm. Can you sound out the word farm for me? F-R-M. Farm. Our middle sound, R. Where is it on my word mat? Can you pause and see if you can find it for me? Let's see if we can find it together. Are you ready? There it is. R. The A and the make the R sound. So, F was my first sound. And I know what a F looks like because I can go up here and I can find it there. F for flower. So, F. R. What was the R made up of? A and an R. And my last sound was there it is. And what do I need at the end of my sentence? A full stop. Fantastic. So there is my first sentence. There are lots of animals on the farm. And now what I would go and do is I would go and draw the pictures of all of the animals that I can see. And then I would go back to my story and think about what happens next in the story. And then I would turn over my page and start on my next part of the story. I would do my sentence and draw my pictures and then move on to the next part of the story. So this is your activity for today. I want you to follow my instructions and go and write your own little story about what the ladybird heard. If you complete this and you want to show us, please send it to our Redwood email address and we would absolutely love to see all of your fantastic writing. Please remember, capital letters at the beginning of a sentence, a full stop at the end of a sentence, finger spaces after each word, not after each letter, only after you've finished a word, and watch out for those sneaky capital letters that try and get in between your words. If you don't need a capital letter in the middle of a word, don't use it. You know the rules, remember them, and off you go. See you later. Bye.